there, I'm Claudia, a fourth grade teacher, and happy Friday. Today's video is all about parent conferences. I'm going to talk about setting goals with students as well as paragraph writing. So this week was a 4-day week. We had early dismissal Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 12:48. Tuesday was at 1:23, and during that time from 1 o'clock until about 3:30, I conducted my parent conferences. I had 17 out of my 26 parents participate. That's about 65% of my class. Not bad. This year, I decided to set my times in increments of 20 minutes, and that seemed to do the trick. I had about 15 minutes of conferencing, giving a leeway of 5 minutes in the beginning, 5 minutes at the end for any parent that might have arrived early or a little bit later. One thing that really helped my conferences to run smoothly is this report card summary that I created. So this summary helped me to discuss in order the items that I wanted to tell parents about their students' academic progress. Another thing that I do is I make sure that I have information for every student, that I complete the report card summary, attach all the necessary reports, any homework, any classwork assignments. It's in this plastic crate that I have. Super simple. It says student data. When it's time for the parent conference, I could just find the student's name, pull out the information, and begin. And I think this is a big part of what helps my conferences to run smoothly, rather than trying to find all the different reports and attach it in front of the parents. So we took the first interim assessment for base 10, and my students didn't do so well. And I think a lot of it was because of the format of the questions. They're not used to that. And what we do in Eureka math doesn't match that. But I'm still going to hold my students accountable for what they have done. And as a result, I'm going to give them the test again next week. So I created a next steps for success. Students created some goals as to how they were going to progress, do better for the next test. And so I wanted them to identify 3 goals that they could do. We've been working a lot on strategies. And so as a class, we discussed what are some actions that they can take that will help them to improve next week. I charted all the responses, and from those responses, students were to choose 3. I asked them to think about when they took the test, what is it that's something that they might remember or notice that they did or did not do? If you don't set goals, I think it's something that you should definitely give it a try. I do this year after year with my students, and I really see a tremendous amount of growth. This is my bulletin board. That is my goal setting board. I swap it between math and ELA. What is posted now is math, and that's only because we did terrible on our first base 10 IAB. So I want my students to improve by the next one, which is next week. So this week, we've focused a lot on paragraph writing, developing those skills that are necessary for the end of the year assessment. And as a school, we know that writing is our weakest link. CKLA provides, or should I say Amplify, provides a lot of writing opportunities. But unfortunately, for my group of students, there are not enough scaffolds built in. So I have to come up with ways to help my students to get to that level of writing. So behind me, we were summarizing the power of the church during the time of the Middle Ages. Now, some of my students do not necessarily have to use this template. It's just a guide. If they choose to use it, great. If they don't, I'm okay with that. I want to see them develop their writing skills. But prior to summarizing the power of the church and how it influenced the people, we have been focusing in on two-column note-taking guide. Now, Amplify in their activity book does provide a graphic organizer, but unfortunately, in May, they will not have a graphic organizer provided to them. So there are times that I use the activity book, and then there are other times that I have the students use their writer's notebook to create a two-column note-taking guide of their own. I want to get students in the habit of doing this independently so that when we get to that end of the year assessment, that they themselves can create a graphic organizer and take notes on their reading. So as I'm looking at the different levels in my class, I have 7 students with IEPs. I have 8 English language learners, and then the rest of the students either fall into RFEPs or EOs. And I differentiate for my different types of students. So, but all students, we all practice creating a two-column note-taking guide. And for that, I've noticed I'm really impressed. As I've been looking at some of my students' work this week, they are coming along. Here's for the power of the church. In addition to that, as I'm looking at their summaries, their paragraphs this week, they're also, some are using the template that you see behind me, and some of them are creating their own. So the paragraph structure itself, with a topic sentence, details, and a concluding sentence, is coming along. So I'm really proud of my students in that sense. I also have students that are still using this. So for my students with IEPs, I created this simple template that they use to fill in the information. These particular students take a long time to jot down their information. So rather than having them take hours to use the template, copy it onto the notebook, all they have to do is fill in the information. And this is information that we've done, teacher and student, from the two-column note-taking guide. So all they have to do is plug it in, reread it, make sure it's in a complete sentence. And here's an example of one of my students who has an IEP. Excuse me. As I mentioned in the back, this template students can use. I have students using them. I have other students that use their own words in the template, but they also have a checklist where they check to make sure, do they have a topic sentence? Do they have details to support the prompt as well as a concluding sentence? And this is something that I do with CKLA. I'm exhausted. It's a cold and windy day, and I'm glad it's